The Gauteng Basic Education Department is probing schools that have allegedly withheld reports of some learners. It has emerged that some school principals and governing bodies are refusing to release reports of the learners who are owing school fees. Public schools are expected to open in the coming week across the country. Joining us now to discuss this further is Gauteng Education Department spokesperson Steve Mabona. A very good afternoon to you and thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Now, can you confirm the number of complaints you've actually received from parents about school principals and the school governing bodies withholding their children's results because of outstanding fees?
Thanks very much. We actually received complaints in the area of Soshanguve. That's where some of the schools withhold the reports. And we have sent the team from the district office to just visit those schools and have an understanding on what transpired there, because we normally inform our schools that they don't need to withhold any reports. If parents happen to owe any fees, they need them to make necessary arrangements with them, committing on how they're going to be paying that. And we would normally also encourage parents to make sure that they then settle or honor the arrangements that they would have made, with the schools. But in some quarters, we received complaints that those were donations. I mean, if a donation is expected, you can't withhold reports because a donation was not received or was not paid at a school, because donation, it should be, regarded as a donation. So we are probing some of those schools, and we should be in a position to indicate on what transpired in those schools.
So if there are other parents that are watching this interview right now that have a similar challenge to those in Soshanguve, what protocols should they follow?
Well, they need to take it up with the district offices, because those will then be closer to the schools that will be doing those. And if failing which, then they can call our call center 0800 000 789. They will be guided on what to do there. But we don't expect that happening in some of the schools, because that's the message that we've been planting, including in the private and independent schools where there are issues on fees. We normally encourage parents to make necessary arrangements, because the challenge which we have sometimes with parents, that parents don't make arrangements for necessary payments, and then schools will then find those ways of trying to recoup funds that are not paid by parents. But we discourage that, and that's why we will normally interact with the schools and the parents to say, let's honor what we're supposed to be honored.
So will the interventions that the department is actually undertaking help to resolve these matters before the academic year begins? And in the case where some parents have actually lost jobs and have no form of income, what can be done?
Well, in the public ordinary schools, we have what we call exemptions. Parents do apply to exemptions, and the SGPs, they play a significant role in assisting those parents, make sure that between the principal and the SGP, they then accede to those calls to say, a parent will then be saying, I need to be exempted because of the reasons. So that process is there to be ventilated. Parents can still utilize that, but it's not there for abuse, but to assist those parents that would say, I lost income, I'm not in a position to pay now, I seek, exemption, and they are exempted from paying, those funds.
And how is the process then, on a different matter now, of filling in the vacancies of teachers who either succumbed to COVID-19 related complications or who resigned? How is the process going to fill those vacancies before the schools open?
Well, between the districts and the schools, there's a formal process that they will normally undertake. We've been encouraging them to push with that process. We've been monitoring very closely. Those, they need to go in the market and put advertisements and make sure that they shortlist and conduct those interviews. And over and above that, we have new posts. We have about 1,005 new posts that we're going to be filling in our schools. Those as well will go in the market and, we'll normally encourage teachers, and those that will want those positions to, leave their CVs at different schools and at our district offices, so that they will then be called for necessary interviews. So we're going to be continuing with that process. As you are aware that our educators came back on the 1st of February, but the senior management at our schools came on the 25th of January. So they've been preparing, making sure that the teaching plans are ready. When learners come back, they will be in a position to know on how to make sure that we close the gap. Curriculum that we might have lost in 2020, we need to start with that and make sure that we recover on the curriculum.
Can you touch on the safety aspect then of schools reopening in the Gauteng province? Are all schools going to be ready? And when it comes to learners who have comorbidities, will they have an option to perhaps study online if it's a bit risky for them to go physically into classrooms?
Indeed, we have started with that process to collate data, make sure that we know how many of the learners that would have said they have comorbidities, including teachers that would not be coming back. We finalizing that process. In the next week, we should be in a position to say, out of this number, this is the number. But we have started when the school management team arrived on the 25th to say, make sure that you prepare the necessary packs, because we normally send packs to those that would not be coming, so that they then peruse the work and will interact with them, while they are at home to do that work.
So can you say then that you're confident that all schools in the Gauteng province will be opening on schedule?
According to information at our disposal, we should be opening, and learners are expected on the 15th. And we have already started with the process of feeding those that deserve to be fed. We have 1.5 million learners that we feed. So giving them the parcels, and we give them this part and go home.
Well, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. That was the Gauteng Education spokesperson, Steve Mabona.